So this is a video that I saw. Actually, when did this come out? When did this come out? This came out 2 weeks ago. It's sitting just under 500,000 views. It's a video by Evan F 1997 titled The Biggest Cheater in Zombies History. And I have no idea who this could be, what it's about, but I'm fascinated nonetheless.
I've spent the past few months covering the Easter eggs and world's first stories of Call of Duty Zombies. My goal was simply to bring old stories back to light. However, every time I began to research, there was one name that just wouldn't leave my screen, and a name that seemed to show itself in every story, often for the wrong reasons. Although chasing more information about this name was like chasing down the boogeyman, and it quickly became apparent that this was a story I had to bring you guys. Cheaters in any capacity and in any game tarnish great moments and ruin the experience for other players. We've seen streamers get caught cheating, speedrunners get caught cheating, and even professional players get caught cheating live on stage in tournaments before.
Yeah, this has happened like multiple times, by the way.
Once caught, often these players have their careers tarnished forever, and they become an outcast in their respective
Thank you for the 6 months, my friend.
Games. However, for today's cheater, they managed to steer under the radar, allowing them to repeatedly cheat again and again and again. If you're a longtime Call of Duty player, you may be familiar with the name Play the Game Central, the collective name for a group of players who made a vast amount of...
So I recognize the thumbnail, right? I recognize the thumbnail, but I don't know any of these people individually.
Of Call of Duty content, particularly in the Black Ops 2 era. The variety of players inside of PTG allowed them to make a varying style of content, both within multiplayer and zombies, although it was primarily their zombies content where their infamy and notoriety would stem from. While PTG were technically a group of players, the most notable was their leader, Ben, and during this video we will often refer to Ben as PTG due to his significant involvement. Call of Duty Zombies is a round-based horde mode, with the simple goal to survive as long as possible as the difficulty and quantity of enemies increases. For the majority of players, the simple goal of survival and high rounds is enough to keep them satisfied. However, for some players, this goal is not enough, and they wanted more. To satisfy this craving, the developers began to add secret puzzles and quests named Easter eggs. These Easter eggs have no in-game guide, prompts, or direction, and it would be purely up to the community to discover, progress through the steps, and complete, with the end goal of an Easter egg normally being to fight a boss, unlock a cutscene, or discover the story implications for the next map. While there is no official Treyarch sanctioned race to be the first to complete these Easter eggs, pure bragging rights is enough to allure some of the game's best players into an unofficial race to untangle these elaborate zombies.
Oh my god. I just realized what your joke was in chat before. I just realized what your joke. So when I don't know if this would make the video on YouTube, but when I first said the biggest cheater in zombies, someone, who the hell said it? Someone immediately said Noah J. It was Kev with a question mark. Oh my god.
These puzzles. Not all Easter egg steps are created.
If you get it, you get it. I'm not going to explain it.
And the obscure puzzles would sometimes take the community days to discover and complete. Our cheater, however, mysteriously never faced the same challenges others did. PTG's initial rise, according to Zombies veteran Liam Winter, was all the way back in 2010, during the GK Nova 6 alternate reality game that was used to promote Black Ops. Fans across different Call of Duty
this is total side note, but Treyarch has always done this thing where their promotional material almost has zero to do with the actual launch of the game. Like the Bowman thing from Black Ops Cold War, and then Cerberus. What the hell is Cerberus? You guys keep wanting me to make a video about Cerberus, but there's nothing to say about it. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. It's not even in the game. It's very odd. So I gotta figure out a way to do a video on that.
Secrets of GK Nova 6. When PTG decided to hijack the game with their own one. This was titled GK Nova 0. The name and contents of the website were enough to fool a pretty large amount of people into thinking this project was actually affiliated with Treyarch. Eventually, it was revealed that the website was nothing but a hoax, which immediately soured people's opinions of Play the Game. But they also gained a small audience of people who really liked the quality of what they had done, and felt like PTG might have some connections to Treyarch in some way. PTG has managed to drift under the radar for years, but the story first started ringing alarm bells when I began to properly research Mob of the Dead. Mob was a controversial map from the start, with leakers at the time posting mega threads on Reddit hating on Treyarch and leaking the map in pretty significant detail. Coincidentally, PTG Central had magically posted a bunch of speculation videos prior to the map's release that were also eerily accurate about the map's content.
So I'm going to be telling you some things that you don't know about the upcoming map pack. I'm not going to tell you what the map pack name is, and I'm not going to tell you what the zombie name is, believe it or not, but I'm going to tell you what the zombie map is, if you get my gist between Die Rise and Great Leap Forward. I'm going to be telling you what it is, because I think the name is awful, but I know that they needed to use that name for the kind of Call of the Dead reference, because this is a map all about celebrity in the most minor way possible. So I released a song recently called Alcatraz, and if you haven't heard it, then that's fine. I'll put a link in the description.
Mob of the Dead released for Xbox users on the 16th of May of 2013, and the hunt to crack the Easter egg began right away. Within the first hour, players had started to make pretty good progress through the egg, building the plane, collecting the Hell's Retriever, and more before starting the search for several skulls around the map. But while the community was making good progress, PTG hadn't just made substantially more progress, he had completed the whole Easter egg. Yes, you heard that right. Just around an hour after
what we're getting at here is someone who had extensive background information on the map knew almost what the entire Easter egg was as well.
Mob of the Dead released to public eyes for the first time, PTG uploaded a video of his completion of the Pop Goes the Weasel Easter egg. Not only was the speed of this completion fundamentally suspicious in itself, but PTG's video just showcased the ending. There were no steps explained, no guides posted, and the zombies community were understandably very suspicious of this completion and suspected foul play of some sort. Ben from PTG has since removed the original completion video, but the not so apologetic apology video he posted shortly after remains live and honestly just raises more questions than answers.
Play it.
So we'll be showing you that tomorrow. Sorry to sound cryptic, it's just obviously with this kind of response to our videos, which I always knew was going to happen, as I said, I don't particularly feel in a generous mood when it comes to the other people who, from what I've heard, are bad mouthing us. So for now, we're going to keep it close to Play the Game and our close friends like Dalek and
Dalek,
and, Rad Austin, if you want, all this stuff, all these people that kind of have supported us for a long time, and that is very important to us. And the people who badmouth us are, they're the ones who wait 2 weeks until they actually figure it out. But the people who don't are the ones who it's good to be on us.
So basically, Dalek and Ali A were on the side of these guys, saying that they're not cheating or something, or supporting them, and meanwhile they're posting Easter at the end of an Easter egg but not showing how it's done, which people are considering sketchy.
Side when it comes to zombies.
Gotcha.
Ben admits to knowing information beforehand, but still insists that it's not cheating, which seems counterintuitive. It's clear that PTG had a Treyarch-linked source feeding him information about the map, but a comment from PTG on one of his mob videos seems to claim that his source does not work for Treyarch, as Treyarch couldn't afford them. In the video, he is clearly somewhat offended by the negative reaction to his quick
Treyarch couldn't afford the
completion and refuses to share steps publicly, saying he only wants to share information with those who have been nice to him, like Ali A and Mr. Dalek JD. So I asked Mr. Dalek JD himself about this.
Yeah, just watching that back now, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable hearing that. It's just like it is kind of ominous sounding, but for a bit of context, even I had to think at the time, like, what was he meaning? I remember now that back in those days of 2013, I wasn't old enough because the game's age rating here in the UK was 18 and I wasn't 18. So I couldn't take part in any Call of Duty events because I wasn't old enough. So I remember at the time.
We'll come back to that.
I was like, well, I can't go to any events because I'm not old enough, but they make great zombies videos. Why aren't they doing anything with Activision? And so I think I might have suggested that they work with them. And I thought at the time that was just a nice thing to do. Like, it's like, oh, here's like a fellow creator that isn't getting any limelight or working with a publisher when they should do because they make great content. But at the time I had no idea what else was happening in the background. So I assume that's where that mention in that video is referring to, because I'm pretty sure I got them into an early capture.
Yeah, so I happen to know that there were people who would go to Call of Duty events who were not 18. So maybe it's a UK thing, but like, for example, T Martin used to go to Call of Duty events when he was like under 18 or whatever. And I think there was like a couple other people who I've been to events who were younger as well. But maybe it's a UK thing, maybe.
Event for Mob of the Dead. So I assume that's what he meant, saying like, you know, oh, they've been nice to us, so we're going to repay the favor sort of thing. But at the time, I didn't even see it as something like that, like transactional. It was more just I was doing a nice thing because I thought they deserved to be there.
Ben mentions that other creators were bad-mouthing PTG, and this had put him in not the most generous mood. But after some research, it seemed that these creators were not bad-mouthing PTG without reason. PTG had started to treat other YouTubers like idiots who knew nothing, acting like other forums were playgrounds for children, and Play the Game was the sole place to be if you had a brain and wanted to know the truth about zombies. Because of that mentality, PTG developed problems with almost every single notable competitor that they had. There were frequent attacks on the CallOfDutyZombies.com forums, which was at the time the most popular place to discuss zombies before the rise of Reddit. This was a pretty large turning point in the way that people discuss zombies, and there's a much earlier post from 2011 written by the creator of CallOfDutyZombies.com, where he talks about the site not feeling the same ever since PTG first appeared. You may now rightfully have questions. If PTG have been around since as early as 2010, why is 2013's Mob of the Dead the first map we're talking about then? Well, you see, Ben had carried himself as the pillar of knowledge, who was deeply intertwined with the development process of Call of Duty. But ironically, a lot of what Ben claimed to know prior to Mob of the Dead wasn't actually true. I spoke to Liam Winter about PTG's fast completion of Mob of the Dead, and his insight into this is pretty damning for Play the Game.
Okay.
Black Ops 2 had a specific feature in its theater mode that a lot of people didn't really know about. You could go to a player's profile and see their recent games across multiplayer and zombies. On the day Mob of the Dead released, shortly after Play the Game had uploaded the ending unusually quickly, we were able to watch Ben's recent games in theater. He hadn't played many games that day, but in one of the earliest he was playing split screen. One of the players was actively guiding him through the Easter egg, completing every step with no hesitation. The main Easter egg wasn't the only thing they were pulling off in these games. We used their theater file to learn how to do the Golden Spork Easter egg. Embarrassingly, we were the first to put out guides for the Easter egg because of this, and the steps were almost all incorrect because we were just trying to piece together what we were seeing. So
he had someone in split screen guiding him, which means the person that was guiding him, he was there with in person.
Side Easter eggs were affected by the Mob of the Dead leaks.
It's also definitely worth noting that Ben from PTG was an avid musician who enjoyed making music, and music that was often linked to zombies. As referenced earlier in the video, Ben released a song named Alcatraz as a means of helping to leak Mob of the Dead's location around a week before the map's reveal trailer was released. Interestingly, he goes on to mention that the first lyric of his song is somehow related to the first step of the Easter egg.
The very first lyric of that song literally tells you how to start the Easter egg, and that's pretty cool. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but once you guys are, let's say, aligning yourselves, then you'll be very, very happy to know. Actually, just the word aligning helps.
The lyrics are, "I don't need your light. which to me at least seems to have little to no link to Mob of the Dead's first Easter egg step. Or maybe this was Ben just being intentionally cryptic for the sake of it. There are a vast amount of old videos that PTG has deleted, lots of which would have likely contained a lot more leaked info. We know this as the old PTG X account still has auto tweets public that were created whenever a video went live. These deleted videos are painted by the remaining words on this account. Tweets like "behind the origins" week before the map was set to release, and even a tweet itself saying 4 firsts ain't bad. Leaked information is nothing new in video games, but Ben's weird mob boss like mentality about handling this information is most curious to me, especially when Dalek claims to have never received anything from PTG himself, but he did say this about Ben's mob boss mentality.
Yeah, no, in person, he was really pleasant. He was really charming. Just came across really like he was just one of us, like another creator. Like there wasn't really anything like different about it. It was just like meeting another creator that also makes zombies videos, and you know, you've seen them online, you've spoken to them a little bit, perhaps on Skype or something. We were all quite young and naive back then, so we weren't really aware of how he came across, if there was like arrogancy or egotisticalness.
So let me tell you, going to Call of Duty events and seeing people that make videos of Call of Duty is very awkward, because you never know which ones know you and which ones don't. So it's like you walk into a room, because everyone's at the same hotel. You walk into a room and it's like, okay, I recognize you. I have no idea what your name is. I'm pretty sure this is your YouTube name. Then they look at you and you're like, oh, shit, do they know me? And then like you go over and you introduce yourself and you're like, and they're like, oh, I didn't know who you are. Like, it's so awkward.
In sort of like how he presented information and knowing things that we obviously didn't know at the time. But yeah, like at the time, I thought he was a nice person, and I didn't think anything different.
So here's the story as I understand it now. PTG rises to this news website, forum, and channel for zombies. Their big blow up was in these speculation videos that were spoon-fed information directly from someone linked to Treyarch. Dalek is young. He sees PTG's Ben in person, and Ben treats him nicely. Then Dalek is trying to calm the flames of the zombies community's hating on PTG for cheating, and PTG then says he will reward Dalek with early information. This sounds like Dalek could be an accomplice in the next map to some degree then, right? Well, this is where things just get weirder. Just under 3 months after the release of Mob of the Dead, Treyarch introduced a little old Wild West spice into zombies with the launch of Buried. Unsurprisingly, PTG had some inside information into this map as well. He also magically completed the Easter egg much earlier than everyone else. Although this time, people were quick to disregard his completion, once again assuming foul play. This is something Milo/Mr. Raffle Waffles clarified with me in an interview we had last year.
PTG had a reputation at this point, right? That meant that people were skeptical of them at the best of times. And so for them to come out and just have endings of Easter eggs didn't seem particularly believable to anybody. And especially if you're just going to post the very end, but you're not going to post the build up, right? You're not going to stream you solving it. You're not going to discover it in step with the community. If you're just completely...
Okay, strange question. Is anyone around during this time in chat? Like, were people streaming the zombies Easter eggs at that point? Like, what year would that have been? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, Black Ops 2. Like, I don't think I was streaming then. So, yeah, I don't know.
Attached and far ahead from everyone else, then that's sus, right? And even to this very day, in the Easter egg hunts, the difference between the first team and the second team getting it is minutes usually, and occasionally we get into the sort of hours territory between team 1 and team 2, but that's pretty rare, right? Because everyone more or less moves through these steps in kind of unison. But that's not what happened here, and it was pretty clear to everybody that they hadn't arrived at their solution legitimately. So it kind of got written off by the whole community.
As we mentioned earlier, PTG also claimed that he shared information with creators like Ollie A and Mr. Dalek JD as they were, quote, nice to him. So does that mean Dalek completed the buried Easter egg suspiciously fast too? No. In fact, Quite the opposite. Dalek was DDoSed during the very challenging sharpshooter step.
We were on the final step of sharpshooter.
That's suspicious.
And I remember in my chat, PTG mentioned, you're not even halfway through the Easter egg at this point. And I'm like, what do they mean? And I'm like questioning, like, are they being serious? Because we have done so many steps up to this point. There's no way this isn't near the end at this point. And so what I mostly remember is that obviously the sharpshooter step is a massive trial and error. And again, we had no idea exactly how it worked, how to complete it. And at some point during that, I got DDoSed and lost all of my internet connection. And because I was the host of the game ended. No idea at all. It's just that my internet went out, weirdly went out at the final hurdle of the Easter egg. I don't really remember much of what happened after that fact, but
so
I know
is he saying that PTG DDoSed him?
at the time I was streaming on Twitch and I had about 2,500 viewers, which I feel for like 2013 Black Ops 2 is pretty good.
Wild.
That's all I remember. But again, I had no idea what happened with that scenario. And it wasn't until literally only a few years ago, someone that says they were part of PTG said that, oh yeah, it was PTG that DDoSed you.
So yes, Dalek would come to find out that it was supposedly a PTG member who knocked him offline, right towards the end of the buried Easter egg. I guess the next question to try and answer is, why? Why would PTG DDoS a supposed friend of the channel? Now, it's hard to be 100% on the reason, but as we have come to learn about PTG, he is a man who seemingly likes to gatekeep and have power over others, whether this be completing things before anyone else, having information no one else has, or other things of this nature. It's possible that Dalek's fast and legitimate progression through the buried Easter egg somehow threatened PTG and their ego. It's also worth saying, however, that it's entirely possible PTG never DDoSed Dalek, and they just wanted to claim the DDoS to seem cool or powerful or something. We will never truly know what happened for certain, it seems, but whatever the case, it was clearly a weird situation. The PTG story doesn't end there though, as they would have one final impact on the very last map of Black Ops 2 Zombies. During the build up to Origins, PTG were working on something called The Bunker. I asked Liam and Dalek about this, and it seemed to be something that they were planning to optimize posting content during the release of Origins. They were going to rent some sort of office space and fill it with PTG members to release content consistently after launch. Once again, the so-called speculation videos posted by the channel weeks before the map's release would if going to this video, once again, these
24,000 views, nothing crazy.
So-called speculation videos posted by the channel weeks before the map's release would manifest themselves with suspiciously accurate information come the map's launch on the 27th of August in 2013. They would once again also post the ending of the map before anyone else, making it a hat trick of world's first completions from Mob of the Dead, Buried, and now Origins. This was the first Zombies map to have an ending cutscene, and a major moment in the history of the game had been spoiled. While it was never 100% confirmed, Liam suspects that this leak likely came from ripping the game files due to the fact that Xbox 360's piracy had unfortunately become so common in games. Although data mining wasn't as sophisticated or easy as it is to do now, Black Ops 2 made combing through certain files particularly easy.
Where did they get his IP? I mean, technically, if they were messaging between PTG and Dalek, you'd have his IP, right?
Specifically cutscenes. Every cutscene inside of Black Ops 2 across campaign and zombies was a WebM file. This was a fairly new file format.
So, dude, I had a friend in, looking back on this is wild. I had a friend, this would have been in grade 8. And he's one of the people who got me into Call of Duty. He's actually the one that got me into doing YouTube as a job. And he would, when Call of Duty games would get released, he would go into the game files then, and he would find music that wasn't in the game. He found levels that weren't in the game, perks that weren't in the game, what people do now with deleted content. He was doing this years and years and years and years ago. And I didn't even put that together until literally right now. I remember going over to his house and him going through these files, look at this. This is an image for a perk that's not even in the game. And like, he wasn't posting it anywhere or anything like that. He was just like, this is cool.
At the time, and Treyarch were seemingly using this to keep the file size of their cutscenes down to a minimum, but the format was also incredibly easy to play. Compared to the previous game files that required a lot more complex processes to open and watch, Black Ops 2 cutscenes just had to be double-clicked and they would open immediately. So in this instance, the second that someone had ripped the, at the time, Xbox 360 exclusive DLC to their PC, they could open up Origin's ending cutscene in a click and upload it online right after. When I asked Alec about Origins, he had this to say about PTG's involvement.
I only remember 2 details, and the weirdest part is one of them specifically we can now like confirm is real based on the recent Black Ops 2 alpha zombies leak.
Okay.
So the first detail was that the map wasn't called Origins, it was called Natuma, or whatever how you pronounce that, which from the leaks only like a month ago of that DLC 5 build, it shows the alpha of Origins and it is called that. That's weird. And the second detail was that it was going to have 4 staffs. And at the time, I did not understand like what that meant in terms of a weapon. I was like,
so
okay.
I'm wondering how much of this is data mining and how much of this is someone, because remember how he said he was playing split screen? Weird, right?
Staff. What do you mean? And that's all I remember.
While PTG may have a lot
Another good point that you're saying there, the tomb, yeah.
of deleted videos, former PTG
Actually, that's a really good point. Has anyone brought that up? That it was originally called La Tuma, and then it had the 4 staffs, and now we just got the tomb, which has 1 staff?
employees haven't, with Uman Agent saying PTG was leaking maps and had insider information, and mentions that DLC 4 for Origins was going to be in France and had the original cast less than a month after Mob of the Dead came out.
So, you might think that it's a bit early to be talking about the third DLC of Black Ops 2 because, I mean, Uprising hasn't been even released yet for PlayStation and PC. But, for those of you who don't know, there's a channel called Play the Game Central, which has access to a large amount of information on not just future DLCs for Black Ops 2, but the information of Call of Duty Ghosts. And
the fact that he found this video and it has 507 views 11 years ago is impressive.
They'll be running a live stream on the 17th of May on their own channel, or their own website, I should say, where they'll be revealing this information. So there's a lot less time than you might think before information about the next DLC will become available. So the time span of which this video could be released is narrowing rapidly.
He gets ahead of some of the controversy PTG was facing at the time, saying that there were levels to leaks on what was acceptable and not. But the problem is that PTG has breached all 3 levels he describes: trailer and early access leaks, then map and some vague secret leaks, finally fully detailed Easter egg ending leaks, which is exactly what PTG has done. In my view, it doesn't matter if you feel like you've given the blueprints for solving the puzzle. If you show the reward, it spoils the race to get that reward for everyone, especially when PTG is claiming world's first in these old tweets. PTG's impact throughout Black Ops 2 Zombies was vast, and while some people saw them as a Robin Hood type character sharing leaked information, others saw the more harmful impact spoilers can have on the community and the discovery of Easter eggs. Though after Origins, PTG seemingly vanished. They didn't vanish without a trace, and still uploaded some random video updates at times, but the content—
Wait. Does anybody know what that is? Does it say? Yeah. That's Extinction. I forgot about Extinction. Extinction's great. Extinction might be the most underrated game mode ever.
Random video updates at times, but the content people had come to know them for all but stopped by the time Call of Duty Ghosts launched in November of 2013. And I have some theories as to why this happened. Call of Duty Zombies was evolving. The days of purely chasing high rounds were slowly fading as people began to realize how fun Easter eggs could be. After Black Ops 2, players would have to wait 3 long years for another Treyarch Zombies mode, and Treyarch spent this time cooking up the most iconic and beloved Zombies maps the game would ever see. The Easter eggs we would eventually see in Black Ops 3 were almost incomparable to Black Ops 2 in their size, scale, and ability to impress, with Black Ops 3's Easter eggs featuring boss fights and ending cutscenes to help engage the player further into the story. With this increased effort,
Side note, how lame is the Tombs ending cutscene?
Treyarch clearly didn't want their maps spoiled in the same way PTG had done throughout 2013. The game ran off of an updated code, and with more protections in place to try and stop significant leaks, it's possible Treyarch had further enforced the idea of remaining tight-lipped about the Zombies project and become more selective about who would have crucial information regarding Easter eggs, in turn killing PTG's source. Let's not kid ourselves. Ben and PTG aren't a group of CIA super hacker people. They didn't sneak into the Treyarch HQ, and they didn't steal hard drives. They clearly just had a Treyarch linked source who was happy to share early information with them. I'm not going to speculate too much on why the source chose to do this, or whether any money exchanged hands during this saga, but I will say there has and always will be an incentive to upload videos about upcoming DLCs or games to YouTube first, as a way to get bonus views, subscribers, and above all, revenue. To further fuel this theory, there did seem to be some sort of rivalry between PTG and NGT, or Next Gen Tactics Zombies, during Black Ops 2 to post guides or Easter egg information first. Some
I remember NGT.
members of the community had become increasingly frustrated with NGT zombies spamming Easter egg step videos during the discovery of multiple Black Ops 2 Easter eggs, so maybe part of the reason PTG posted these
So NGT also did multiplayer.
endings was in a way to spite NGT. It is also very much likely that Ben felt gaining publicity through all of this leaking would have helped the promotion of his music. This dude made a lot of music and clearly spent a lot of time writing and producing it, and he mentions it frequently throughout an array of the Zombies videos. So maybe that was a big driving force behind all of this. I would love to know what you all think about this. Was PTG in the wrong for doing all this, or do you think the Robin Hood ideology applies here? And do you think his actions would be received any differently today?
I think he'd get dumped on real hard now. Like, I don't think leaks are at all resemblant of now of what they were then. Almost like you got to think the community of Call of Duty is way bigger now, and the reach is way bigger than it was then. So like there's leaks that are like, okay, what's the next game going to be, that are kind of like, okay, like these are speculative, I kind of like it. But then there's like direct leaks that are like, let me spoil the ending of a game for you. And
Today
people
in
hate
2025 compared to how they were back in 2013. With that being said, don't forget to like.
So the one thing that I will say about all of this is they didn't ever explain where he's getting this information from, did they? Like, did I miss that? Like, I did not see where they got that. Like, where is he getting the intel from? Like, it sounds like a mix between data mining and then remember when they're like, he had someone in split screen showing him what to do? They never explained that, who it was or anything along those lines. But a fascinating video, very well put together, I will say that. And that is from Evan F 1997.